Hello, hello. This is Angie Fenimore with Fat Chat with my writing coach. And we're going to talk about discipline. I know that sounds like a really unappealing subject, but we're going to take a little bit different tack. So, the first thing I want to do is actually restore integrity because the last time that I posted, I wasn't feeling great. And I said, my husband says I need to post every day, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, so I'm taking that on. You may get me in my bathrobe. I'm somewhere between Amy Porterfield, who is completely ready for everything, and Russell Brunson, who like does podcasts in his car or while he's working out, right? I'm in between the two, closer to Amy Porterfield. I like to be prepared. And then guess what? That was like a week ago, and I haven't posted since then. So, what happens is, as a human being, we have an experience of like whole, complete, perfect, in integrity. And what I mean by that is like my computer glasses here would lack integrity if I were to break this arm. They wouldn't be whole, complete, and perfect anymore. You know. So what I'm not talking about is right or wrong, good or bad, ethical, not ethical. I'm talking about integrity as in whole, complete, perfect, working everything in harmony, functioning correctly. So a human being will have an experience of a lack of integrity within when we break our word. Then we have this experience that something's off. And the way we usually handle that is we don't. We leave it. And, when we keep taping those glasses together more and more until we can't really see out of them. Okay. So, in order for a human being to have an experience of whole, complete, in integrity, everything working in harmony together, um, we have to restore integrity. We have to actually fix those glasses. And so this is something that we do all the time in Calliope, and we don't make any kind of like, there's no judgment about it. It's just like, I broke my word, I'm restoring it now. That's it. So I'm restoring my word so that I can have this experience of whole, complete, perfect. And before I say anything else about that, it's never about somebody else. You can't point at somebody else and say, you are out of integrity, you broke your word. It's always introspective, it's always looking from yourself so that you have an experience of, you got it going on. And you can say, New York Times bestselling author, and that actually means something to you. Because the more you break your word around the little things, what happens is the more that your belief in your word disintegrates and no longer has power anymore. So it feels like a lie. And what we know scientifically is about like affirmations is that speaking things into existence only works when it happens inside of your already existing context of what is believable, what's true, right? So the more you take on restoring your word around little things, the more power your word has to make things happen because you believe it, right? Okay, so I said I was going to post every day. I said it a week ago, and then I didn't post for, I think it's been a week, something like that. Whatever it's been, I didn't post. And so I broke my word there. So in order to restore integrity, what I am doing is I am acknowledging that and I'm taking responsibility, not blame, not fault, responsibility for any impact there might be. And because I can't talk to you directly to find out if there's any impact for you, or you have an experience of being let down or whatever, I'm just going to acknowledge that you may have and apologize for that. Like if you're somebody who is waiting around for 8 o'clock to roll around every weekday for Fat Chat with my writing coach, I apologize to you for leaving you with that experience of what happened to Angie. If you know me personally, you might even be concerned about my well being, right? Okay, so I'm sorry if I left anybody with anything about that. So the next step is to make a new promise. Um, because in order to be a big person, to cause big things, you are always operating against your promises. And the thing is We're human beings. We are going to break our word. And the more that we get facile with restoring integrity to that word, the bigger promises we can make and the more that we can make happen in our world, in the world, right? Okay, so my new promise is every day, weekday, I will do a fat chat with my writing coach. And when I'm not going to, if I have something that comes up, I'll post on the page, no fat chat tonight. Okay, I'll say something so that you aren't wondering. How about that? There we go. So the third piece, which I actually already did, was you put something in place, which for me is I'll communicate if I'm not going to, so that you're not wondering. And so something else I'm going to put into place is with my executive team, um, a reminder at 7 o'clock every night. And I'm also going to put a reminder in my phone, that chat. Okay. And then I'm going to use Mel Robbins' 5 second rule. Um, I'm going to go into a whole lot about, that you can look it up. It's fabulous. Look up Mel Robbins' 5 second rule. She's done a lot of work around this. She accidentally discovered it, but there's a ton of brain science that it works. That if there's something that you don't want to do, you just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then do it anyway, because you interrupt your neural pathways, because your brain is always looking for ways to make your life more survivable. And, maybe I've talked about this, maybe I haven't, but I get very nervous. And so I'll get a stomach ache, I'll get a headache, I'll get all kinds of things in the way of doing a fat chat. It's not because I don't want to connect with you, it's because the the camera freaks me out. Terrifies me, especially when it's Facebook Live. And I don't know why, and I don't need to know why. It doesn't matter. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Hit live, live video. There you go. So those are the things that I have in place. I see Melissa's on, and Melissa's on my executive team, and so that's already been communicated to my executive team that to have that reminder in place. So there we go. That's what restoring integrity looks like. And now you can see there's even a difference in my face. I have a different experience of myself. Now let's talk about discipline. Okay. So I would guarantee you that one of the reasons that I've not been on for a week and I haven't felt well to get on for a week is because my husband said to me, you really need to do that. And I'm a rebel. So as soon as he says that, all of a sudden, like, it's like, this tidal wave. For me, it's much more difficult because I'm a rebel to do something when somebody has like told me that I should. It's almost like that word, you should, those words together, you should, there you go, sentenced, right? And I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying I know this as my own modus operandi. I know this. So the thing about discipline is this: it's not a lack of discipline that would have me be like, okay, yeah, I know I really should do a Facebook Live. I've got a really bad stomach ache, and now all of a sudden I've got a headache coming on. Very interesting that it happens every night at 7:30, right? It's not a lack of discipline. Discipline, all true discipline is self-discipline. So I'm going to read definitions. This one is from Merriam-Webster. Um, and they have two entries. The first is control gained by enforcing obedience or order. Okay, this is the first definition. That's A. B is orderly or prescribed conduct or pattern of behavior. And C is self control. And here's the second definition: punishment. Yeah. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to find another definition. This is just if you type in Google discipline definition. Noun, the first definition is the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. Number two, under noun, is a branch of knowledge, typically one studied in higher education. So that's the definition we're actually going to be interested in here. And the verb definition for discipline is train someone to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. Okay. So when we discipline somebody else, what we're doing is we are taking our value system and imposing it on another human being. What that does is it produces resistance and rebellion. Okay. Any of you with teenagers probably know this if you've tried to discipline kids. Or the other thing that it can produce is shame, right? Okay. So really what you want to do is inspire, okay, which is not discipline. So we really want to focus on the definition. This is the second definition under noun if you just Google discipline definition. A branch of knowledge, typically one studied in higher education. That's going to be more effective when we embrace this definition of discipline. So all discipline, all true discipline is self-discipline. And what happens is you are so inspired by something that's bigger than yourself that you will do whatever it takes to get it done, right? So my oldest is turning 35 years old. He's a registered nurse. He's getting ready to go to medical school. And that kid started failing everything in second grade. He had me so trained, I swear to you, that I would bark, if, if he said so. That I was doing his homework for him in second grade. I don't know how he's so smart though. I don't know how he got enough done that he could do his core classes when he finally went to college. But I will tell you this, medicine inspired him. So he became self-disciplined. It never worked for me to tell him, you should do this. Oh, by the way, there's a punishment involved if you don't. And, my children, I had two together, 3 years apart. And then I had another one 7 years later, and then two more 6 years later. So I have big gaps in my kids. And so my second batch of children got the grandmama. And I learned with those first ones. Sadly, my oldest got, there's kind of this special agreement, I think, that goes with the first child because they get it all the mistakes. But I really learned that discipline doesn't work when I enforce discipline. It's ineffective. If it worked, great, but it doesn't. It's far more effective to inspire and to create an environment where inspiration moves them to action. And the proof's in the pudding with the kids. It's like, I don't know. The kids all joke that I haven't done any real parenting for 10 years, but it's because I haven't disciplined. Like, we don't have a chore chart. We don't have rules like that. We have agreements, and the whole house agrees. Everybody in the house agrees. And then we all just participate. And it's like they just do what needs to be done. And in fact, the youngest, who's just turned 17, is probably the most disciplined of everyone in the house. But it comes from self. So if you're struggling to do something that you're not doing and you feel bad about it, you feel guilty about it, restore integrity and you find your why. And then discipline just arises. It doesn't even look like discipline. It arises out of inspiration. And then you can do things that you could never do if, somebody's telling you, oh, you should, right? Okay, so there's my message for tonight. And my challenge to you, take it or leave it, is be inspiring AF. Ciao for now.